whatever you'd like. That was much better.
For that salto dynamic, your rebound is too high on the staccato. You're coming up too far.
For the second to last bar, or
Yes.
do we go? Okay. I'll try.
That was much better. Oh, and you guys are not allowed to quote me on that, by the way, which is why I paused. Okay, next.
You have to commit your left hand to the end of the crescendo. You don't always have to start like a diminuendo or a crescendo on the first note because it can be hard to pace. You can start it on the second note or wherever it feels appropriate. But you can't go 1, 2, 3, and we're still crescendoing, and then here's 1. You got to commit all the way to the end of it, or it's just weird. And then this is going to go back to the first exercise that I forgot to mention. The accent that you have, and it's kind of true in the second exercise too. The accent would be easier to do if you were less confined to the pattern. So in the first one, if you went 1, 2, and then made the accent more of a vertical gesture, it'd be easier than this, which is hard for them to read. So
Do it again. So you're having a sudden drop in intensity, and it's because you're allowing your left hand to go away. This says crescendo, but then if you want them to keep on playing that intensely, drop your left hand and mirror for a couple of beats and then put it away and make sure the same intensity is in your right hand. That will help. Also, your beginning note is very fluffy. And it's because when you have something like this, you have to be so crisp and clear that they have no doubt. We are playing and it's coming now.
truthfully, I would just leave the left hand up because you can use it on beat 3 of that measure, the next to last measure, and then you're using it on beat 4 anyway. So
Just leave that.
I would just leave the left hand up, mirror for a couple beats, give a release, a cue.
Oh.
Yeah.
Just do measures 3 and 4. Okay, so you'll need to practice it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't have to mess with it now. Okay, 3. This one is much more difficult than your other two.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. The accent that you want in the first measure, everything else needs to be smaller if you want that to come out. And then you just let it hang, which is fine as long as they're absolutely certain, because some people bled over into the rest.
Yeah.
And then for your crescendo can help vault you into the forte and the staccato, but you gotta allow it. Let's see, 2, 3, and then the cue, you should be swiveling your body during that whole measure to wherever you need to be, to right. So and give it absolutely certain, and then you have to completely stop to change on the piano. I would move that piano change. It's pretty tricky.
Do you know why you got the accent that you got? The weird sound to it?
No. I was just excited I got it, so
Oh.
I didn't listen to the quality
It's
of
the
the accent.
same It's the same reason as all the other stuff. There wasn't very much of a vertical nature to the accent. It was almost entirely horizontal. So if you give a horizontal accent, you see, as opposed to here's where the accent is, there's got to be a vertical nature to it. Otherwise, you're just kind of swiveling across, which doesn't really show where we're going to place the accent.
So
Well,
hard.
actually,
I'm
believe it
sorry.
or not, even though that was crazy, they stopped playing and you got an
Okay,
accent.
Let me try more normal.
That was
That-
better. It was kind of like you were burping a baby.
That was a great cue. Okay, your staccato, you need to angle your arm so you can get more, yeah. Because right now you're hitting the surface and not. So angle your arm so you can get a little more. And then you need to breathe. I know you have mezzo forte marked here, but you're conducting more of a piano the first measure. Then for the after the Cesura fermata, you need to breathe for count 3. They're getting it, but just barely. Okay, but everything was better.